Hey guys, this is Turek, and in today's video I'm going to be reviewing chapter 1135 of One Piece. And we're still kind of getting this calm before the storm moment, I feel, with this story. So in the last chapter we saw that the Straw Hats were getting shown around the Owl Library and the schoolhouse area in this particular village, where the children are, and where Saul is there with all the books from O'Hara. Actually, they bring up something here. I wonder if there are other libraries here, because I think they bring up something here about this library just being the one that contains the O'Hara books that they salvaged. And while that's happening, we got at the end we got a glimpse of the Gods Knights appearing with this weird, the one being what we talked about. Well, I did that one short the other day. I forgot to look up if that anyone you got how that went. That's the first time I published a short for the first time the other day. Oh no, I did one years ago, didn't I? When I was talking about the Fire Emblem Three Houses. But I tried to do one again on using the YouTube app, and it was a bit tricky. But I brought that up because it was about something that we had not seen that I didn't mention in the chat review, that being the guy looking like Shanks being the guy that we must have saw talk to the Gorosei. And so him and someone else, another, it looks like a woman, show up at the end while all the Straw Hats are beginning the party. Well, not all of them. What other, we'll see here. I can't remember what they do at the end here, but they start partying here, and then yeah, we're all split up. Bonnie is with Chopper and Robin, and all three of them went with Saul to the library. Luffy, Sanji, and the others, I think all of them together, are with Saul's assistant. I forgot her name. And there was that girl named Ripley. The giant named Ripley showed up. And we saw she's I think it was a biology teacher. And there's her and the other girl, and then there was the children that met with the Straw Hats, and we're continuing on those 2 or 3 different well, that's right forward thing, the different Straw Hat groups, and then the Gods Knights. We'll continue that stuff in this chapter. So again here, actually, funny we get at I should bring up there's the cover story with Yamato, and then we see what's her name? That's Otama? I get those 2 girls' names mixed up. This is the one with the fruit where she can make the little dumpling things. So she got kidnapped by that asshole. He was one put in charge of the town's name. Where Luffy and the others had grouped up together, and he had that lion zone ability where it sits on his belly. He's the one kidnapping people. And appeared in this one panel is where what's her name kicks him right in the face because she's been learning to fight from I can't remember all their names now from Wano anymore. I always remember Kanema mostly. That's because he's been around since Punk has her. So the girl's fighting back and kicks that guy right in the face, which is very satisfying because he was trying to force those things out of her, using some kind of a pick thing like this in the Wano arc, in the beginning of the Wano arc, and she couldn't fight back like that. But now it's really cool to see her get her comeuppance like that. But anyway, we start the chapter here, and we see now Chopper and Bonnie together, and they're probably on a table. It looks like they're trying to read one of the books there, but because the letters are so huge, it's hard to read it the way follow the lines, because they're like sitting, like Bonnie's sitting right on the bridge of the book, and you can see like the length of it is probably several feet long. So the height of it it was like several feet long for they're just having fun trying to read it though. It's funny too because now we're continuing to get a bit more Bonnie, like I said in it before too. Did I put that other video? I was pointing out somewhere. Did I point it out in the other video? I realized how Bonnie in this whole arc now has not transformed into her adult form. She's not using her devil fruit anymore. She's staying in her normal, what her normal age is. She's what now, 12, I think. And it's this cute scene with Chopper here, because he's what now, 5 years older than her, but he acts a lot like a kid. So the two of them are getting along very well here. That's right. So Lilith is also in this part here with these guys. It's Robin. I mentioned to it, but Lilith I remember is here. And now Saul introduces us to that owl that we saw in the last chapter, sitting atop one of the cross branches above. And so its name here is Biblot, or is that Biblot? Biblot, I'm gonna go with. And he says this owl is the master of the library. And they say he'd been here hundreds of years. So again, this is interesting too, because I was just looking up. So I was reading up about Giants Ages again, and how there's those elders that we know. The one that I had the names here somewhere. Pull up the one that Big Mom unfortunately killed, and the other one, and and how their age put them as some of the oldest beings up after Zunisha that we've seen in this story. And now with him, Saul pointed out that this owl's probably been here hundreds of years. Now we can assume that he's probably like up there. Then that would make it like within the top 5 of the oldest entity living things, not counting trees and whatnot, in this story. And so Saul, he also, although he's older with him actually wearing, I think it's maybe real spectacles. And I wonder if he's going to look like color's going to be like in the book. Cause in this illustration, his face is colored white. He's black with his head and wings are all black. And then his feathers are checkered between black and white as they go down his plume. Except the little part, you got a little fuzzy part here. Almost looks like an ascot to me. That's kind of cute. And it's Saul further explains that it is him that is enacting this power in the library that makes any human-sized books into the size that a giant can read. He just talks about it being within his territory. That's probably just the whole library, because it was shown in the other chapter previously while Robin was holding the book. Once she entered the threshold of the door, that was when the book immediately sprung out of her arms and that she was holding and grew into the giant size. So Saul further goes on like because we can't get many news coups. He talks about this is funny. So he's bringing up that they would like to get more papers. That they also keep a collection of some of the papers they get from the World, what's Morgan's paper called? The World Economic Journal, maybe? Something like that. And he talks about that news coups won't come here, though, because Elbath is not part of the world government. But we'll sometimes get some of the papers from fishermen that have those when they come back. Actually, that was interesting. I wasn't thinking about this part, too. I would think Morgan's wouldn't care. I don't care where his news coups go. That just means he's losing out money, because I'm sure the Giants would love to be reading some of the news going on outside the world. Maybe he just gives that up to the, so he doesn't. Maybe well, now I'm thinking that he's pissed off the world government when he posted some of those stories resolving the stuff was it with Egghead or what happened at Waddle. You'll recall that when there was an agent in disguise there that tried to kill Morgan's, or threatened to kill him, and Morgan's beat the shit out of the guy. That agent was not ready for Morgan's right cross. Anyways, yeah, that's just interesting that the government. I'm wondering now if Morgan's will start selling papers there. Well, let's say the concession to the Gorosei, because before he didn't want to. He was taking money from them, bribes to not post stories or post stories a certain way. But now he's on their bad side, so I wonder if he'll just tell his crew to travel to other islands if you see potential customers. This scene here, I wanted to comment before I go on with the story there. I noticed this must be a little bit later because they're showing they show Bonnie here on the playing around on the top of what do you call it, the arm of a staircase. While Saul's now sitting at the table doing some work. And then we see Lilith floating around here, and she's talking to Saul after he said about talked about about the Bibla. How did I just say that? Bibelat. Okay, yeah. His ability, and she says Lilith points out, oh, maybe he must have ate a devil fruit called. Is that the rear? Or is that supposed to be Rio? I don't know what that's supposed to be. It says rear. So R-E-A-R in this translation. I was thinking maybe the read or something. I wonder if there's a mistranslation there. I'll have to look at what other people say about that later, because I'm sure there's something I'm missing, because I don't know the Japanese stuff. And so she's going on there like, oh, that's fascinating that his power allows inorganic things to grow in size like that. Meaning the books, although books, obviously come from trees, but now they're just this paper that they've been constructed from. Usually other things. Sometimes you might even get like leather-bound books, which obviously is animal skin. But she's like, yeah, that's a interesting, a great ability that the coincidence that it came into the hands of an animal living in the land of giants, which comes back to something interesting there. Who was that talking about that once? Tekking was talking about once how. It couldn't be just coincidence that certain people would get abilities like that. Let me just go. That that some of certain people would get abilities that would be very handy in a situation they're in. Going back to what's her name? Otama, I think it is, with her dumpling fruit, that allows her to control animals and animal zone people. Obviously, he also pointed out that it probably won't work on people like Kaido or Lucci who have high, strong conscience and like hockey. But it was very useful for swaying many of Kaido's soldiers to work on their side to defeat him and fight against the rest of his army. And how things like that were seem to arrive to the people that will best use them, basically. So we finished this scene here just with a little more nice talking, so Robin's sitting in one of these books right in front of Saul, and he asks, "Oh, feeling nostalgic?" So she's just sitting there glowing and like glowing, a face happy, and she's enjoying the moment, and so it's really cute here. By the way, I like the long boots she's got on. They suit her the way Oda draws her. And Chopper ends up like, I wonder if they have. He asked, like, I wonder if they'll have some medical books here. And Robin says, well, because this is a library this library contains all the books from Ohara. We had a few, but most of the stuff you're going to find here focuses on archaeological and historical stuff. And so I think it's Saul here chips in and says, well, we do have native books, books written by Albathians that have wrote medical books you could check out. And that gets Chopper really excited there. And he points out, well, the only problem is because there are books from here, because those books were made by giants, we can't shrink them back down for you to read. Oh, okay. So, interesting. So there's something interesting there. So what he's saying is, so if they take any of those books that were from Ohara or any other books that were constructed by humans, and they walk out of the area of Bibelat's power, they'll return to normal. So it also means, that Bibelat can't shrink things, he's only making things bigger. But also there's something too, does that mean, can he only do that with things like books, maybe other inanimate objects, like inorganic, well, I should say, like Lilith mentioned, like maybe swords. Maybe that's how that sword is so big out there. Maybe someone else turned it big had Bibelat's power before he had it. And the last picture of the scene here, actually two more things with that too. He's sitting up there still by himself. That's the last panel is just him sitting there. I noticed too the branch he's sitting on has windows in it, implying like there's rooms inside that. It's that same branch that's arching between two walls of the library. And I'm thinking if that's for humans that live here or like accommodations if humans did come to visit, because you can see it's not big enough for Saul to fit in. The branch, you can see Saul there, and he's sitting, and the height of that branch looks like the height of like Saul's just his torso from like from his buttocks to his head. So it can't be for a giant to live in there, unless it was a child, a giant child could live in there. So I'm wondering who lives there, or if, like I said, they're just guest accommodations for humans that visit. Lastly, there's some reason there's a chair sitting right next to Babylon. That's about a giant-sized chair, kind of. It's not. It doesn't look as big as the other chairs you can see here, because there's like they're in this little area where you can pick up a book. I forgot to mention they're sitting there. Are tables where you can take a book and come sit down and read. And this chair is up there, and it's designed the same as the other chairs, but it looks kind of smaller. But it doesn't look human-sized. It's not, because with this owl, that's the other thing. With the scale of the owl, it looks like it's almost as tall as a giant. You can kind of just compare it with the torso of seeing Saul sit there, and Bibble that's right above him in that crossing branch. And then he looks like he'd be about 2/3 of Saul's height, roughly. So I think that's all we're going to see of them right now. So now we switch to Luffy and the others are playing with these giant kids in the back at the school. Was that this owl school or something? I think it was. No, walrus. It was a walrus school. I think they call it, right? The owl library and the walrus school. And these kids are kind of acting all tough, I think, in the last chapter, but Luffy's really starting to scare him. He's like swinging so high. So Luffy probably would love to be at a theme park. So you can see the height, because these kids, they're 30 feet or so. They're probably like almost as tall as Big Mom or so. And you can see that Luffy must be using his fruit somehow to like gain a lot of momentum. And it's like the way he's going forward right now, hundreds of feet in the air. And he's having a blast, screaming like, Yahoo! But the kids are like, oh my god, I'm getting sick. There's two of them trying to hang on. Oh yeah, Usopp's there too, playing with them like that. He's hanging on. And I don't think he's liking how high Luffy's putting them either. Because Luffy, if he falls, he's not going to hurt himself. These giant, and these are kids, they're going to you don't want to like have them, fracture an arm or hurt their head or anything. So he actually, a little thing after it where Nami has beat up Luffy. Well, he punched up Luffy too, Usopp too, for playing too rough, basically. Although I don't think Usopp should have got hit. I really can see that Usopp probably was getting freaked out too. Yeah, he even says, "Why'd you hit me? I wanted to get off too. I wasn't trying to initiate this." And so the kids are like, oh god, yeah, the kids are pulling a Momonosuke. They run over to Gerd, who's still there, and they're like, "Oh, we were so scared. Comfort us." And they're putting their face, right here into her thing, just like Momonosuke would do with Nami back when we saw him around the Punk Hazard Dressrosa chapters. And then someone even comments on that. Like, is this what we're always going to see now, these little brats, like, going up to women and just rubbing their chest like that and into the woman? Yeah, and Gerd was like, "Yeah, you poor thing." And Luffy goes up and is like, "Oh my god!" And he like runs up to him and is like, "You guys are trying to be warriors and you're crying. This is shameful. No warrior should cry like that." And oh, that's right. That's Sanji that says the other thing. I jumped ahead with that because Sanji comes up to Luffy and like, "Luffy, stop it. These kids were raised with nothing but love and kindness." But then he sees them. He looks and he sees those two kids, like, and then one kid's kind of staring at him like, "Ha ha, I can get away with this, and you can't." And Sanji's getting mad, like, "Oh, wait a minute, you can these kids get away with this crap, hiding their faces in a woman's bosom, and you bastard." Oh, that kid. So yeah, so what we see here is these kids that are in this school are not being raised to be tough, to grow up like warriors the way we think about Dory Bragi and Haruden. They're kind of like I said, what did I say, pacifist before? I'm thinking something like that. And him and Usopp talking together in this next panel. Like, this is kind of a letdown. These aren't the kind of people I expected to see here growing up among the Albathians. I wanted to see these tough kids that this rough and tumble types. And who's this kid? This kid. All right. So this other kid. Wait, what's his name again? So this shit. Did I just go off yet? So this boy Colin shows up. He's the one we saw down below with the at that the bar there where Shanks, where we saw Shanks before hanging out when he got Dorian Broggy to help him fend off Kid. And yeah, Colin. So that's right. He was showing up. And that's right. So when he got up there, he was there taking food. I was thinking this other woman was his mother. I gotta check it. I think I was mistaken about that. Like, we'll get to that in a second. Let me read that. So so this kid heard a lot about Floofy from Shanks, and it looks like as we see he can see here too, he's more of a warrior type than the other kids we just interacted with. So he swings this wooden sword down at Luffy and Usopp when they were chatting, and he's like trying to swing at him, and he goes like, "You're wide open," but he thinks because he's bigger than him, he can get Luffy, and so he swings at Luffy again, and he I don't know if Luffy blocks it or if it just breaks off. It breaks in half somehow, his sword. And then Luffy jumps into the air so fast he can't see him, and he pulls out a third gear elephant gun and punches at the ground in front of Colin, knocking him back. And so this kid probably is going to be very impressed with Luffy's abilities. And Usopp's like, "Careful, Luffy, careful." And then Luffy's like, "Well, I didn't hit him." He's like, "I know that, but they're gonna yell at you again for Nami, and the others are gonna yell at you for striking at a kid. So you better be careful." And Luffy then in here we see him smile and gets this grin. He's like, "Ha! Now I'm feeling much better. It's nice to know that not everyone around here is such he's just spineless, like kind of a wimp or something." And the other ones are yelling like, "Luffy's such a meanie. We can't stand seeing violence like this." And so him and Usopp, him and Colin and Luffy come up to are meeting each other here, and he's like, "Wow, you're very impressive. I heard you're an emperor, right?" Okay, so the other kids, these other kids are here. There's over a dozen of them now. You can see, and it's like, "Oh my God, it's Colin. He's a meanie too. He's the delinquent around here, always pulling weird stunts and never attending class." And then Colin yells back at him. He's like, "I don't care. I hate being around weaklings like you." And we see one of the kids like, "My goodness, he's such a brute." Wait a minute. So I think here, if I'm understanding this right, that Ripley is actually his mother. So she comes up to him. Holy shit, is she tall too? Like Riley, I thought Colin was a little taller than this, but Colin doesn't even come up to her knees, it looks like. This woman giant is just really long-legged. She goes up to him like, "Stop causing a scene, Colin." But he's like, "But I was a solid first strike. I had to take advantage of that." Oh, no, that's her saying that. She's complimenting him. Right, okay, I misunderstood that. She said, "Please don't cause a scene." And then but that's what's going on. She's like, "Oh, but that was a nice solid strike. Good job." So she's complimenting him, but she's trying to say, "Don't do all this stuff around the kids, and let's not cause a scene out of this, though." And he's like, "Oh, thank you, Mom." Wait, is he saying Mom? Because he says, "Mom Mato made all your favorites. Yes, that must be his mom. Because then it's either Sanji or Luffy here. Or is that Usopp or Luffy? I'm getting confused with some of where these boxes are showing up. Yeah, I think that's first is Sanji. He's like, "What? You're a mom, Ripley?" Yeah, Ripley Chan. He always says that. Yeah, and I thought this was supposed to be Luffy saying like one of them saying, "At least you're teaching your son the old ways." I think that must be Luffy saying that. I think the boxes are just mixed up. And then Sanji says, "Here, I can tell this one definitely Sanji too." He's like, "Aren't you gonna have him apologize for that sneak attack?" Uh, so this is where something we get something very interesting here. So Colin points out this. So we're gonna have so many questions on this. Colin's dad, he turns out, is a human, not a giant. Uh, and this really gets into Sanji's. He probably was hoping that uh, uh, Ripley was single. But I mean, you still got Gert, Sanji. Go. You got enough. There's enough women around here for you. Stop trying to hoard them all. You can't do that. And so he goes on pointing out like, yeah, he used to be a pirate that never feared anyone, not even our warriors here on Elbath. And Sanji's face just is like, your dad's human. In the background there, we get a little line to this. Ripley's checking out the basket that Colin brought her, and like with some kind of berries in it. And but now we go to her, and she's she furthers with this expedition position from her son, and she's put on he's like much younger than me. Our age is more informal because of age gap. But I think what that means is because remember the age is. She's probably just taking that literal. She's probably literally more like 80 to 100 years old. These giants age slowly because we see Gerd here as well. And because Gerd was a little kid with Big Mom 50 years ago or so, and now she's still in her prime, while Big Mom is about 70 years old. So the difference here is what she's talking about must be that. Gerd, the father... We don't know how long Colin, based on how big Colin is, it's probably likely though that the father that she's talking about, Colin's father, I'm thinking could be anywhere from 40s to 60s now. Trying to figure out how old Colin is here. Because he looks like a kid, like I said, but like we know, the aging of them growing up is slower than us. So they probably 1 year for them when they're growing up, it's probably 3 or 4 years, I'm going to wager. So they're not, way she's explaining this too, though, I don't think they're actually married because it would be just too weird. So they're not married, so they have a son together, but they're not husband and wife formally. And she points out that we never did because it'd just be weird because of our age, how we're going to age differently. So we don't get any more on that, unfortunately, there. So that was just thrown out of nowhere. We don't get any more explanation on that. This is weird. Otis is throwing a lot of stuff at us like this, just like he did out of nowhere with the Vegapunk clone thing in the last chapter. We just know that there's a clone of Vegapunk that's in the stasis, and it's still Vegapunk. It's Vegapunk of him when he was 20-something years ago. A younger version has just been stuck in stasis and not been. So that was something too. I didn't catch on to this, but Tekking was pointing out that Vegapunk there, a little on the side here, the Vegapunk that's in stasis, this copy of Stella, is probably the one that came here and read all the books because it would take a long time for him to get through all of them. So that because he was already working for the government at the time that O'Hara happened, and so he didn't want to disappear and have the government get suspicious. So he made a complete copy of himself, which makes sense because we know about we know that Stussy was created years ago. So this is long before he did the satellites. The satellites are like 4 or 5 years old at most. So he made his copy. It went off to copied all that information, and then somehow that's in Punk Records. And another thing that Ted can point out is the only weird thing about that is the container is only 6-7 feet high that's holding this clone, but Vegapunk had his giant brain back then, which was extended a good dozen feet or more above his own head, his height. So we don't know what happened with that. So very peculiar with that. So we don't get any explanation on that stuff. But like I said, that was the last chapter. But now we got to figure out how the hell did a giant and a human have a child together. So I want to point out, I think there's like that kind of stuff in the more not scandalous, different stuff, content out there in anime. That's not anime, you know what I mean? But of giant humans and people, and I think Oda's shown that he's kind of seen some of that kind of stuff, and he decided to throw a little bit of that into here. So now that Luffy's done, Luffy at this point, we jump over to a point where he decided to finally visit the library, and he comes there. So what do we get here? So Luffy's just there checking out the library, and him and Usopp are there, and Robin's informing him like, "I'm going to continue to stay here longer before I decide to come visit you guys at the feast. I'll come by later." And Saul says, "Don't worry about missing out on anything, Robin. Those guys will parties for like 3 days straight." And it looks like Chopper. So also Chopper. Chopper and the others are going to stay here as well. And then Lilith says, I'm not going to bother with the feast now. I got to go hang out. I want to get my resident permit. And Bonnie says, I'm going to go with her and do the same thing. So they're planning on staying here. Bonnie's going to stay too, because once they get the lab up and running, they hope she's how to work with Lilith to get her dad back. We don't know if he'll be back to normal fully or not. That's another question too. Actually, I kind of have a theory on that too. I have a feeling that whatever Vegapunk had to do to Kuma to fulfill Saturn's deal, maybe he didn't do something that was actually permanent, so that reversing whatever he did will be easy for Lilith. It'll be easy for Lilith. Where was you? To reverse what the Stella had to do years ago. And that's just I'm hoping that way. Frankie's here too. Oh, that's right. All the Straw Hats are pretty much here, right? They didn't go to the party yet. No, I thought Nami was just with, I'm getting confused. So Frankie and Jinbei and Brooke are also here. And, and Frankie says, I'm gonna go out, and I don't know if he's planning on doing this now or if he means before they leave. He's like, I got business around here. He informs that this tree here is the same type as the one I built the Sunny from. I want to check out the wood. Is that what he means? And Saul says, oh yes, I've heard there's other Adam trees around the world, but this one is probably the oldest one. He's probably not, okay, it sounds like Frankie's not going to join them at the feast right now. So Luffy's like, okay guys, you guys have fun on your business, and now I got to get going though, before I starve. So now Oda gets so now we get some more outfits in here. So Luffy and the others had some outfits, I think, that's right, Luffy and Sanji and the others got those outfits because Roto had made them for him when he captured them, our first 6, and made them to was going to keep them in his collection. And now we get to see part here where Gerd made outfits, and the other Straw Hats here, the other 4, we get to see the other 4 in outfits here. Oda does a nice cover spread here where we got Brooke, Robin, Frankie, and Jinbei all now donning Albathian attire. And I like Jinbei's the best, partially because they each got a big belt on, the men. Robin's is more like it's not as huge. But each of the men's here, Brooke, Frankie, and Jinbei's, has a big crest on it, like an illustration. And Jinbei's looks like a dragon, a serpentine dragon of sorts circling around. While Frankie and Brooks are nice, but theirs are both just skulls. Although they're both slightly different. The teeth on Frankie's protrudes out more in a way, where because they each got like a circular thing holding the crest in almost. I don't know if these are made of like metal or anything, but the teeth, there's like a little white rim on each of the head around the skulls. But there's teeth on Frankie's three of them that sit outside the bezel like ring around there. And so we get this great shot where it was like Brooke and Frankie are like, wow, this is very nice. And Jinbei's like, wow, this is quite comfortable. And we get a shot here with Gertz right behind him. This shot looks, the way she's drawn there, I was thinking it was Hoshi for a second. Because she's also very large. She's a mermaid though. And Gert's like, oh my goodness, they're so cute. And she's reiterating like, I like to make outfits for humans, but please remember, I'm not going to be like Roto. I'll never kidnap you, but I think you humans are so cute. So I like making so this is like her free time. She also makes clothing, but she just makes them. Now she's having a use for these ones apparently. So I don't know how she got the size right though, because Frankie and Jinbei are quite broad fellows, and Brooke's very tall, so somehow maybe she whipped these up just now somehow. Yeah, and they all like the cop thing very much. So now all the Straw Hats have outfits. Now they're heading away from there, and they start they're taking that one. That's right, this library's in a different part of town from where the hall is. So they're taking that rowboat with the clouds, and they see him float off from the library area. And that's the last we see with that right now. But now we switch back to the Frost Giants, God's Knights. We go to the castle. Okay, so they had the castle's name here, Ost Castle, near the Western Village. And so some guards have shown up who patrol the castle, and they're saying they've discovered the two God's Knights. Maybe they heard noise from that summoning thing they use. But these guards know about the Straw Hats though, and they first assume like, oh, you guys. What are you guys doing inside the castle? Are you with the Straw Hats? You know you're not supposed to be here. So these are two impressive-looking warriors. One's quite a bit older looking than the other. He almost looks like a warrior Santa Claus, really. He's got a great white beard himself and a huge mane. Is that a mane hair or is that just a cloak? I think that's a cloak he's got. It looks like he's got a lot of bushy hair, but he's also got like a cloak thing. It kind of looks like the thing Kaido had, or this color is colored white though, so I was thinking like Doflamingo too. And so they ask the woman answers these guys, and she says, "We're here looking for the one you call Loki." And the guys, the older guard starts laughing. And he's like, "You want to see that criminal? Yeah, right. We're not going to tell you where he is." No. She first says, "Will you tell me where he is?" And he's like, "Yeah, right. We can't have anyone visiting here. We don't want him to ever have a chance to escape." And then the other one explains, like, he caused great calamity to our country, killing our beloved king. And explains this is why the castle here has been abandoned, because there's no one using it. Actually, you can see that it looks very run down in this room that they're in together. Oh, what the hell is that? Okay. And so this they have the way I like the writing is. I think it implies this voice of this woman's like very. I'm thinking she's like soft spoken. I'm imagining that, but not like they can't hear like. And then she says, "So you won't tell me?" And suddenly she does something. I don't know what that sound effect's supposed to be. So she does something. We see like the picture, the illustrator with like it looks like a little firecracker effect would be around her, and it's the words read like do 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 do, and it shows it above her head and below her, and then the other two guys are like, "Whoa, is she trying to attack us?" And then suddenly there's this silence, a little bit, and then she like, "What are you trying to place a kind of?" The older one's like trying to place a kind of joke, and then I think that's her saying that she yells out this word "bog." And then suddenly the older giant, is collapsing to the ground and he's writhing in pain. And the other guy's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And he just keeps lying down there like he's in pain. And Is he saying that word? She's saying that word? Because I see the word bog coming up again in the panel where it shows his face and she's like probably like passing out from the pain. And she says, "This is what happens if you when you act rude and prideful. I wasn't really asking before anyway. Just don't." And now she, I can't tell if he's passed out or still screaming right there. And I think he's still groaning and stuff. And he's like, now, and the woman goes, "Now I'm ordering you to tell me where Loki is." And the other guy's still there trying to figure out how he can help his friend because he just sees it like what we have to emphasize here is we can't see what's causing him the pain. We just start seeing him writhe in pain, as I said, and like sweat from his body. This reminds me of because I was just playing Hogwarts Legacy. This reminds me of like the Cretaceous curse, one of those unforgivable curses in the Harry Potter story that is for causing torture. I have a feeling she's doing something, whether it's an ability of her own or whatnot, that is causing the giant pain here. And by the way, the other one doesn't talk this whole time. Oh, wait, look at that, though. So I was wondering something when I brought that video about the other day about this being, whether this is Shanks' clone and how he visited the elders, the Gorosei. What I was trying to look for was whether or not he carried a weapon, because Shanks always carries Griffin around with him. And yeah, I think I was watching it the other day. When you see him, when you show that shot where the guards leave in 90, and no, it's 897. Do I have that one pulled up? But when he sits down, I'll have to put that in. When he sits down, he can see he wasn't carrying a sword with him then. Probably because they wouldn't let him, even though if he's a god's knight, maybe he's not allowed to when he's entering their presence of the Gorosei. But when you look here at this panel where the giant guards first confront the god's knights, you can see him, this male one, carrying a sword. Oda made it clear. You can see it's on his the shots from us looking at their right side as they're facing the guards, and you can see you can see the handle, and you can see the other end on the other end of his body, his backside, the end of the sheath. So he is carrying a weapon there. He also is using a sword. We don't see any weapons on this woman, I don't think. So we don't get a good shot there. Oh wait, there. Yeah, she's not carrying a weapon that we can see, not like a sword or anything, or something with a long handle. But you can see the handle there. Now that I look, of a sword, and it does have a guard resembling that looks very similar to Shanks's. I gotta look that up. Hold on. But yeah, and Garland too also had a sword with a guard. So the swords. I'm wondering if Oda's just doing it as like a coincidence that Shanks and his dad and his apparent brother all have the same kind of sword, or sword with each one of them carry one that has like a guard on it. And by the way, people keep pointing out. I wanted to point something out that I thought was it's funny, but I don't think it's going to go this way. People were trying to say like, hopefully this brother's name is something else with an S. I forgot what. But what I was thinking is, I highly doubt that. I bet Shanks is the name that was given to him by like Roger, and that these guys look at how Shanks had like that simple name like that, and this seems like something Roger would do too, because then he just calls his own son Ace. He would use like a simpler name where Shanks' real name probably would sound like more prestigious than that. So we don't get any more from this. This is the end of the scene, by the way, with the guards. So we're getting the impression that they are not something to mess with, and they have some kind of abilities. And now the question is too, what is the business here to go with Loki? Because when I first saw them arrive, I was worried they were going to go after the Straw Hats. Now I'm wondering if they're there to cause some kind of chaos by unleashing Loki back onto Elbath, and they're not going to go directly after the Straw Hats. They might not even know the Straw Hats are here yet. The other Goros, they can assume that they were heading this way because they know that the giant pirates had helped them. So we'll wait and see on that. But that's something that's concerning now. Is that what's the business with Loki? So now we're almost at the end of the chapter. We have a few more pages here, and now we just get this stuff with the Straw Hats finally at this party, and they're all there together. Well, the other ones. It looks like Frankie. That's right, Frankie and Robin and the others aren't there. So Usopp and we can start with a little like Usopp and Luffy going on. It took us a long time since the East Blue, but we're finally here in the land of the giants, and they're cheering together, and they're getting a nice homecoming type thing with the Dory Bragi, Haruden, and I forget their names. The two that they helped out in Ennie's lobby. They're all like we were expecting you. You guys helped us out, and the other two say, "Yeah, you helped us. You helped us free us from the Ennie's lobby because they were the ones that lied to. The government had lied and said they had Dory and Bragi in prison, and if you served like a century as guards at Ennie's lobby, then we'd free your captains." And Haruden pointed out, like, "Of course, we're having a party for you. You helped me from being erased from what happened at so each of them." All five of them are just pointing out like we owe you for all that you've helped us with, and they each were going on about what they were thankful for of how the Straw Hats helped them. And then it's is that Bragi? I think it's Bragi, the one with the big white beard, the wide beard. He's like, we all of us would like to officially welcome you to Elbath. And we have the shot here with the other Straw Hats. Like this is something like they're basking in the glow of the welcoming they're getting. Except not Robin's there though, and everyone must be yelling the way the giants are yelling. She's covering up her ears. Like this is too loud here. And wait a second there. What is that? Hold on. Okay, there it is. I actually hit the stop on the other recording, so I'll merge those. So this shot switches from the Straw Hats, and we get this great, this big shot of all the giants together toasting. And actually, I thought they were inside that drinking hall or place, like the common area they go to do this kind of partying, but they're actually all outside. You can see the castle. They're right near that castle, actually, where now the God's Knights are. You can see on the back left of the shot, one of the guard tower type parts in the part of the wall. And but you can see clouds over there as well that signifies still daytime, and they're having this party right now together outside. And there's a great shot here with them all having a toast with Dory and Bragi yelling like, "Raise your cups, comrades, for the Straw Hat crew." And so now we get this other shot here. A couple of things happening. We see first a boat arriving here. One of those little rowboats with the clouds with a great silhouette of a giant with a great big beard. And he's laughing like, "Oh, they're really living it up." And I didn't catch who this guy was at first. I should have known right away when I saw the silhouette. But once they show him here in another shot, and then I realized. And one of whoever's guiding this guy there said, "Yep, the Straw Hats must have returned." And before we get right to the end, we have a shot here where Stanson comes up to there with Luffy, and Luffy remembers, like, "Oh, you're the one that I met at Stab Odie with Rayleigh." And I kept forgetting this, but they show a shot here to help connect this for me. So Stanson was captured by the world government at some point, a little over 2 years ago, and they were going to sell him as a slave during that same day that they had caught Cammy, and that Rayleigh was there. Purposely there, he was purposely there in order to try and rob someone who would buy him. And because Stanson, he had a much shorter beard back then, and now he's let it really grow out in the 2 years plus. And so he introduces himself. That's right, I remember you too. I'm Stanson. And he says, I knew it must have been fate for us to come back together, that we would meet together like this. Once Haruden talked about you saving our lives, his life, and we were going to join you as allies. And we get a little thing reviewing people who don't remember this, and it shows on one side you see Saint Charles. Was that his name? What's his name? Charlos. that where he punched. We see a thing there with Stanson and Rayleigh in the middle, and Luffy on the other side, and his arm crossing and punching Charlos, and it gives a little it says he was captured while he was napping. That's how they got him? Okay. But it's a little recap showing what happened there, how he was captured and Luffy helped him escape. Well, that's really Rayleigh. Because Rayleigh must have used that advanced hockey to break the collar off. Oh, yeah, he did, quote. So Luffy's like, oh, I see. I'm glad we helped you then. So now this other figure comes in that we just saw on the boat. And he's like, are you guys all having fun? And it's the elder named Jarl, who we saw in a flashback, Big Mom's flashback. And he's walking up in there, and the other people are like, oh, Elder Jarl, you're here. And Luffy's like, because Luffy didn't meet him, Luffy's like, who's that guy? And so he shows up there, and my God, this guy is tall. He's standing next to, which one is that? Wait a minute here. I got mixed up again. I had the names. Come on. He's standing next to Bragi. Yeah, Bragi. Come on. The mouse is acting up. He's standing next to Bragi, and this guy's nearly twice as tall as Bragi. And he's like, oh, it looks like we do have some tiny guests, that Jarl says. And Bragi's up there like, I'm glad you made it, Elder Jarl. And Luffy and Usopp, get like the shot like, oh my God, he's even bigger than the other giants. He's like a mountain compared to us. And then we get a nice little title card named Mountain Beard Jarl, the hero of the giants, the oldest one in the world. And he's 408 years old. Holy crap. And there's something going on here that we get these last little shots. He has a sword hilt sticking straight out of his forehead. It's through his helmet. And the other giants don't even comment on it, or we don't get a shot at here. But Luffy, we get a shot with Luffy saying, wait a minute, Gramps, you got a sword? It's going right through your head. And he's like, and he just laughs it off. Like, oh, this old thing. Oh my God, it is right through his head. You can see the last shot. He's like, yeah, luckily my helmet saved me. And Luffy's like, but it's going right straight through. And you can see, as I first read this, I missed it, but at the angle, it's like the shot's coming, from, I've seen it here, it's coming this way. And the other side's coming just out at an angle we can see. And the sword's cut off a bit, but it's like only half the sword, but it went straight through his head. And he just is like, oh, I'm all right. Don't worry about it. The helmet saved me. So he's got this helmet on. He's probably got stuck on. They didn't pull the sword out. Also, by the way, it's a giant sword. So who did that? Another one? Did he have a argument with someone and they just try to stab him? And then they did stab him, and he just, what the hell? So, and that's right where the chapter ends. So, Jesus Christ, so much happened in this chapter. Again, just too much. Oh, man. This is the last chapter of the year we're going to get to, right? Because now, what did it say, the 28th? Yeah, now I was just going to go back a second. So that's the end of the chapter. And where did I have that thing with Jarl? I had a page saved with that earlier. So I wanted to see. So this guy, his friend, we saw him in the flashback with Miko's flashback when him and Jarl were there in the village with Big Mom. And then she was, because of the fasting thing they were doing, she went into a hunger pang and killed him. And it wasn't like he tried to kill her. He tried to swing at her. She dodges it, and I remember, there's a picture there. She grabs him by the beard and does swings him like a judo move and crushed him into the ground. And this is why they don't like her anymore. She doesn't remember it though, unfortunately. And I don't think they believed her because they didn't understand about her hunger pains. Someone might have to explain that to them. They're not going to forgive her for killing one of the elders, but they should understand that, Big Mom, she probably doesn't remember that, though. Or never will. So we saw him here with, can I get a better look at that shot? Oh, they have it with this by itself. So the two of them were there together. So that guy, I wonder if he'd be the same age as Jarl if he was still alive. Wait, let's see. So he was no. Let's see. Jarl is 408. He was 345. Wait, didn't it say the other guy was 344? I think they did. I think Jarl was 1 year younger, so he'd be 407 now. So yeah, this holy shit. There's a lot going on here. So first of all, what the hell is it that I'm thinking about what the hell's going on with that the God's Knights that they want business with Loki. I'm wondering if they just want information from him, maybe, or maybe they'll try to recruit him or something. Something's there, and I already just said earlier. I think have a feeling they're using some kind of torture power to enact pain upon that guy because we don't see like there's still like also like this smoke around them when he shows her do that thing to the giant, but I think that could be left over from the is that just smoke coming off of him? It's hard to tell with the shot because it looked kind of like the smoke from the from when they first appeared too. Come on. So there's a lot there, but the thing is, I want to know more about today is what's up with that owl? How old is that owl? What is it doing? They're guarding that library. Could just be there as a guardian that is. I'm trying to think if there's any owls in Norse mythology. Now I'm going to have to look that up. I don't have my book handy here. There's something up with that probably. And see what else was ever going on in this one. Oh yeah, the human thing. Who the heck would be the father of a giant father? Oh god, I cannot wait to see other people's reaction to that. Oh my god, there's gonna be so much. If they find out who that father is, I bet there's gonna be so much Rule 34 stuff going on with this Ripley character. And by the way, yeah, she does have that weird. I wonder what is up with that. You can clearly see in this one shot that she's got this tattoo thing. It starts at her forehead, goes down alongside the left side of her breast, down her torso, and it's going down the side of her leg as well. I don't know what's up with that. But it's cute. Yeah, that's cute here that she's the warrior one here, and so she's raising her son to be like a warrior. But these other people, they seem to be following that. They were talking about how King Harold wanted to stop the giants from being such a warfaring country and start trading. And these children here, this next generation, seem to be following along with that. But they're a little like angry of seeing other people commit any acts of violence. So it's an interesting dynamic there. I just really like the shots in here too. We get a lot of great shots. I'm surprised Oda was able to get this out so quickly because there's great shots showing the detail of this library in different shots and that walrus school. And by the way, too, this owl, I wonder if the owl has a successor in mind because when you get this close-up shot of it, Bibelet, he looks rather elderly as an owl. He's got Oda drew a lot of like baggy wrinkles under his eyes there. And I wonder if he have a devil fruit. I'm just thinking once he passes away, if there is a devil fruit like Lilith is saying it is, all the horror books that are there are going to return to their normal size, and then they can't gigantify until they get a new user to eat that fruit and stay there then. That's going to be interesting to think about how that's going to work out. Oh yeah, the owl does talk to him there. It just says who. Yeah, it doesn't talk, but I miss this part here where Saul's introducing him. He just like who one time, and then he doesn't say though. Usually when Oda does these title cards, I notice he would say either of certain like the Gamu no Mi, but it just says head librarian of the Owl Library, and it's only Lilith. It's Lilith that's implying, that he may have eaten a fruit, whatever this rear fruit that allowed him to use that power. And what was the other thing I was going to show you? So our other Straw Hats? No, yeah. So everyone else is there. Elephant Gun. So I want to know. Yeah, I want to know who this father is. I wonder if it's somebody else we know. I'm going to be pondering that the rest of the evening. See if anything comes to mind. I'm trying to think if there's anything we ever talked about that might hint at someone having a wife out there, not telling us it's actually a giant. I bet Luffy. If that is true, I bet Tekken already figured it out. I'm going to watch his review as soon as this is over. So yeah, there's not really much else I can say. I don't know what the Gods Knights want with him, and it's funny to see Jarl with a friggin' Loki, and it's funny to see Jarl still alive because he didn't have this. He did not clearly have this sword in that picture with 50 years ago or whatever it was. So now my cat wants to go out. All right, I'm gonna end this chapter here. Thanks for watching.